Met with Janet Wheel, the science curriculum K through 8, and she sent this one out to the teachers, and it's Reduce, Reuse, Recycle Initiative, and she is going to start sending out to the teachers examples of materials that she will no longer purchase, because she realizes there's ways that we, other ways, and then suggested substitutes. So one that she put on here, and the reason I'm bringing it up is thinking that maybe going beyond the teachers, that parents could create something in their classrooms or something. But she will no longer be purchasing styrofoam trays and styrofoam plastic or paper cups. Suggested substitutions: styrofoam meat trays that are disinfected by putting them in the top tray of the dishwasher, hard blue plastic trays in the same size which can be washed or reused, 6-ounce yogurt containers that have been washed. So, I don't know if teachers are thinking that something will go out to students, or I bring it up more as an information piece. It's what we'll probably find in all areas, different ways to reduce and cut costs. And so this is one of the ones that she's doing in here.
I have something. Unless anybody has any questions for
No.
I mentioned this to Lisa briefly a little bit earlier, but I've been thinking a lot about the bullying that has been going on in the school, and I was talking with another parent, and it was a parent of a younger child, and they said, whoa, there's bullying here, and how come I don't know about that, and what is that like? And I know in the past there have been initiatives through the PTO around addressing bullying, both in connection with the teachers and the school and the parents. And I think I have a little concern that we're in a transition, and it won't be, at the top of the list of important things to address over the course of the next couple years. And we still have young children that are going to be here and in the classrooms and out in the recess. So I'm not really saying that I know what to do, but I do think that it's not something that we should just wait until somebody has the time or takes the initiative, that maybe the PTO might want to think about ways to coordinate some effort and address it until the administration can do more. I don't know. I know the Diversity Committee has in the past taken it on as one of their initiatives. I mean, it's something that we could do. I work on that committee, but I think it needs to be a broader parent, teacher, staff thing. But in the meantime,
I have a question on that. I was wondering if we could possibly, and this is not to identify particular bullies and grades, but if we could look at a communication between the kindergarten, first grade, all the way up to 5th grade, and we say, okay, this 5th grade child is being a bully. Could we go back and to find out if they were identifying things that we might want? Because I actually think it starts in kindergarten. And I think we're so afraid of labeling a small child a bully. And I'm fine with that, but maybe we can call it something else so that we can say, wait a minute, there's a certain behavior that manifests itself and grows and grows and grows, and maybe we could do something earlier as opposed to 5th grade or 4th grade, because really certain behaviors just get cemented, and we have a lot of consistency with the teachers, and maybe we can say, well, you had this child, did you notice something? Was there something in particular you noticed in 1st or 2nd grade, so that we can kind of give teachers a little bit of a lookout, because a lot of times teachers are the kind of the last to be the real identifier in the upper grades because it's done in hiding. Mm-hmm. But they aren't the last when it's done in the early grades. They see it, but they don't really identify it as bullying. And I don't know if maybe we can kind of do a reverse thing of just kind of trying to trace it back so we all have a better idea of what to look for, and then how to deal with it and stop it. And,
how do you identify a bully as opposed to someone who just has
behavior
problems? Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, what is our classification for what we consider a bully in 5th grade? I don't even know what the definition is, but if there is a definition, and we are saying there's behavioral problems where a child's threatening another child or exhibiting violent behavior, which, whether that's a condition or not, if it's threatening another child, we have to call it something, because everyone deserves a safe place to be, and if someone's not allowing that to happen, they're bullying. So,
for example, in a game, if a kid gets hurt again and again, and this same person is doing it a couple of different times, in say a month, and you sort of just look at that, I think that would be sort of...
Well, you can see repetitive behavior, but
Repetitive
I just know some
behavior.
incidents where it might be one child who might have a problem getting along with maybe one or two other child, and as soon as there's a conflict, or even as soon as the conflict becomes physical, somebody's labeled a bully.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
don't know
not
what a label.
necessarily-
well, I'm not talking about labeling, I'm talking about trying to prevent as opposed to always having to react.
So there are programs out there that start in kindergarten, like Open Circle, which are about, teaching respect and socialization, and it's
And we have a program here that I think it's responsive classroom,
Right.
But I
which
don't-
I think is wonderful, and it is starting, and it will slowly make its way up. The kindergartners here, I think, will have a different school than the kids who've gone through before, which is wonderful. But that doesn't mean that's all we have to do. I just think it's just so much better to.
But that's a prevention.
And
I mean, to me,
prevention.
that's prevention,
Yeah.
and that's hopefully starting with kindergarten and moving through that by the time these kids get to 6th grade, where it starts to just, or 5th grade even, but whatever, it gets worse and worse as they get older. But I think if they have those tools that they learn when they're young, and there's also a level of, sort of zero tolerance and a sort of a shared language around this stuff, then hopefully it won't happen. But
And just so you know, we do have those conversations, and we do address behaviors, and we talk from grade to grade about concerns and things that need to be addressed, so those conversations happen. Clearly, we need to do more when there are problems, but behavioral and social issues are huge when the children are young. We talk about social things and behavioral things all the time.
If I'm not mistaken, I think our 5th grade was sponsored by the PTO to take a huge course this past summer.
Yeah.
And they shared all of the stuff that they found out in their curriculum that they worked on with all of us.
I would just like to say that I think it's a broader issue than just the students. I think parents need help with it, coaching, and also parents need help interfacing with other parents over these issues. I think it's a broader topic. And one group that I know other parents have heard of them before, but I just was introduced to them this year, and they're called Urban Improv. And, I think the program that they run is fantastic because it addresses so many different things. It gets the kids involved in the solution. It also brings in parent, adult issues so that they're the ones navigating the solutions, but it touches all areas. So it's not just in school.
They've been here.
They have, but
How many years ago? Was
And
that
it was-
2 years
it
ago,
was-
3 years ago?
4.
How many years ago?
right. I know that they have been here because they told me that they had.
They're expensive, but they're great.
But they do good work and they get results. And the thing is that I'm wondering if, somehow as a group, as a school, we can do something to get them back because we've lost it. And it is an issue. It's an ongoing issue, and they'll deal with everything, including all the, the texting and everything that these kids are dealing with. And I think it was a great. I just went to a showcase, and I was so impressed by what they were doing. So.
See, I see a lot of this problem as an administrative problem, and I think that one of the things that all of you may want to do is make sure that you let those of us on the hiring committee know that this is an issue for the person that will be coming in as a new principal, and that we should be looking at some way for this person to address the whole bullying issue and what their ideas and plans are about this. Because I think the leadership for that will start at the top, and that's a great immediate way for us to start. So I'm not sure who all the rest of the people are on the committee. Is it published anywhere?
It was on the listserv. Here,
But
I printed it today, but I didn't have a chance to.
But I think that the people on that committee should be aware that this is a concern for a lot of folks. And so what are your ideas to those people who are being interviewed?